Hello, my name is Igor, and in this video I'd like to show you how to start with the QCAD by drawing this technical drawing. I created this video primarily for my students because they had to draw this drawing as their homework in the QCAD. Few words about software. QCAD is an open source software. It has two versions temporarily. There is a QCAD Pro, Professional, and a free version. When you install it for the first time, you will get the QCAD Pro trial version, and if you are happy with the free version, then you have to remove some files and you will get the free version without any limitations in the time period. And of course there are a lot of better software for drawing on the market, but QCAD is very cheap or even free if you are happy with the free version. And the best way to learn some software to choose some very simple drawing and to try to draw it from the beginning until the end. Okay, let's get started. I'm now on QCAD.org website, and here I am going to the download page. I have a Windows, and first you have to find out are you using 32 or 64-bit Windows, and that you can find in system information. Just quick checking, mine is a Hungarian, but here I can see that I have a 64-bit Windows, so I have to download this version. Download is ready. Just quickly let's install. Remember the path where it will be installed, you will need it later. Okay, finish, and now I can even close this browser. And when I first start the QCAD, I installed the Pro version, which is a trial version. And then in that case, you will get these warnings here, QCAD Professional. This is the trial. You have few options. You can activate it if you already bought the activation code, or you can buy it, or you can create a free version by removing these files. So I wrote it down because I wanted to remove these files, but I have to close the QCAD, otherwise it will not let me remove these files. Okay, let's start some file manager, program files. This is the content on the program files QCAD file. It's in plugins, and I have to remove these files. And that's the DVG. Apologize. I'm holding the control button. Script. And now when I start again the QCAD, I don't have that warning anymore. So now I have a free version, which is fine for me. One thing I really miss from the free version is the exporting the SVG files, which I can insert directly to the Tinkercad to generate three-dimensional objects. But if you are using very rarely the QCAD, you can save as a DVG file and use some converter, or you can buy it. It's very cheap, really, if you will use it continuously. So this is my homework for my students, so they have to draw this drawing with the dimensions. Always when you start a drawing, first create a layers, because that will be very useful later. Layers will be, for example, different types of the lines. For example, this is continuous wide line, which will be, for example, in red color. The color doesn't matter, only to see the difference in my drawing. At the end, everything will be in black and white if I want to print this drawing. For example, 0.5 millimeters continuous line. Okay. Then I will need a thin line. Let's see. Okay, continuous, and this one be cyan. Okay, I will. I didn't get the name. Okay, and I will add a center line. I know, yellow. And here is the line type, center line. You have different scale of the line, depend of the size of your drawing. Let's start with this one. I can later modify if I want a bigger or lower density of the lines. Okay, maybe useful to add a hidden line. Hidden line, make them green maybe. Oh, this is between these two continuous and hidden line. Where is the dash line? Okay, let's start with this and I'll check later. And maybe one more line type I want to add. Dimensions. Because I want them separate. Maybe a hash lines too, but no, never mind, later. Okay, and this continuous line, for example, I don't know, orange maybe. Okay, when I prepare the lines, I can start with the drawing. So when you start the QCAD for the first time, you will get the pop-up window will ask you for dimensions and what will be your dimension separate points. But you can change that later. It's in Edit Drawing Preferences. Dimension settings. So here you can choose are you using a metric like millimeters, your primary units, or like I do, or you will use imperial like inch units. Very important is to choose the what is your decimal separator. Drawing units, grids, grid density, grid lines. So you have to do it only once, it will remember, and you don't have to do it every time you start programs. So drawing preferences and application preferences is very important, right? Where is the language? Somewhere, yes, here it is, the language, English. I recommend if you speak a little bit English, then you choose an English language. If you're stuck or you need some help with any tool of the QCAD, then it's much easier to search in English, especially for me because my native language is Croatian and Serbian and Hungarian, and it's very hard to find useful help in these languages. So yeah, for me it's much faster to search it in English. There's that line. So here you can get a small help. What is form of your coordinates? If I want to use the absolute coordinates, for example, I want on A3 to add them. I want to draw an A4 lines border. So I start with a line. As you can see that in the CAD software you can draw a line with a different type. Now I'll draw a line with giving 2 points. I will start with 0, 0. Okay, so it starts now from the point. Then next point will be 0, the x coordinate, and 297 is the A4 height. The next point is 210. by 0 and 0, 0. Now I have the border for A4. I can draw a margin, but I don't want to lose time with that. And now I start with this drawing. I will leave it open. Okay, I will start with continuous line. The line type. Line with the 2 points. Now, from here I want to use the relative coordinates. The relative coordinates I have to start with the monkey symbol. So I'm starting with the monkey. 0 by 50. I can use a grid as a help, but because now it is very rounded number. But if it's not rounded, then in this direction now again I will start with a monkey symbol, and now I want to go 100 millimeter in x direction and 0 in y direction. Okay, here I need that rounded edge, so I'll start with a circle, and as you can see I can draw a circle with the several methods, and in this case I need a circle by giving two tangential lines. Of course I could draw it from here, I know it's there, but if for example they are not perpendicular but under some angle, then you can use this method. So I want to give two tangential lines and the radius. So here I can enter the radius, for example 20 millimeters, and then I select two tangential lines, and I can choose I want this circle here. Okay, but of course I need only this part of arc, and then I'm using a modifying tool and I will trim breakout segment. I don't need this and this and these lines. Okay, so now I want to draw this line under the angle from here. I will use this type because I need the angle is, what is this, 30 degrees from here. The length doesn't matter, I can enter bigger length from here. Escape. Okay, I can now trim these lines which I don't need. Again, going back to modifying tool, you can find them here in menu too, but I know for me it's easier from here. So I don't need this part of the line, this and this part of the line. Okay, all I have to do is a circle here and a rectangle here. Okay, a rectangle. I will use a grid line, so this is everything 10 millimeters. And now a circle. Well, this time I will draw a circle using a center point and giving the point of on the arc. It is 15 millimeters. And 20 millimeter is the diameter. Okay, the drawing is ready now. I have to draw the center lines. Okay, two lines, center line. For example, from here to here, and from here to here. I can change this even later. I have to select the line and then change the layer. Yes, very important. With the selection, I'm going now escape. The selection you can do with this rectangle, but if you go selecting from right to left, that everything that you touch this rectangle will be selected. If you go from left to right, only objects which are completely inside this rectangle will be selected. Of course, you can use a shift tool to select additional items if you want, but it is important to get used to these selection methods, from left to right or from right to left. Okay, as I mentioned, everything is drawn. Let's draw the dimensions. So I selected the dimension layer, and then the dimension tool, it's here. I lost the drawing in front of me. Okay, let's start with this square. Okay, I need horizontal dimensions from here to here and the position. Okay, next is this. Then I need a vertical dimensions. Next one is here. Okay, let's do the position of the circle, vertical dimension. horizontal dimension of the position of the circle. This is 20 millimeters, and this is, in my case, 100 millimeter. This is the X value. Okay, what else? The angle. Dimension, where is the angle? Here it is. So I selected two lines and then I click the angle position of the number. And what else we have? The diameter of the circle. This is the diameter. Let's click on the circle. Okay, now it's automatically put here the number 12, which I will move now. Escape, selecting, and I move this number here. But I don't want only the number. I want there to written a diameter symbol. I don't know, but there is probably a shortcut for diameter symbol. I always search on internet diameter symbol and I copy that number diameter symbol, and I always copy this symbol. Okay, go back to QCAD. Okay, I have to enable view property editor. I will move it here. These are layers and this is the property editor. Okay, let's click on this dimension, and I label it's automatic, but I want the symbol diameter, and if I use these two numbers, then it will keep the number and add that symbol. Okay, let's play with the position a little bit. There we go. I could put it outside, but whatever. Okay, and then adding the radius now. Radius on this arc. And here again I have to add the R symbol. Again I will select this and label R. I could type R20, but if I change this dimension it will always say R20. So if I use the R and this symbol smaller or bigger, this will replace always with the actual dimension, so I don't have to care about the correcting dimension if I change some size. And the thickness, okay, or for example, thickness for this shape. Here, let's add some text. Thickness 1 millimeter. Okay, it's in Hungarian, it's different, but now in English let's use this symbol. Hey, let's 3 millimeter. Angle, okay. Okay, let's put here, and we are finished. And now I can save it, of course. Save as. And now the only option I will have the DXF, because I'm using now a free version of the QCAD. And if I want to print this, for example, file, print, preview, of course, first. Now it's in color, but if I enable black and white, then it is in only two colors, and you can see now the thickness of the lines are visible now because I define them in the layers. Maybe one more thing I could add to this drawing. Let's go outside with this X, going back to drawing. The margin. I can use an offset tool because I have the border for this A4 sheet, and margin, let's say it's 10 millimeters. In Hungary it should be 5 millimeters, but for the practice Okay, so here, margins are set. I have to trim the unwanted parts of the line because I don't need these lines in printed version. And of course here I should add the textual part. I just wrote my name. No, mytechfun.com. Just for practice, imagine that we want to add a section here, drawing here, so I can use hatch section lines, just to show you how to use it. Okay, for example, we don't need this dimension. I select this from left to right, and only this is marked because I'm using from right to left, then everything but touch the selection rectangle will be selected. Delete. Okay, let's add quickly here with our section line, the layer. I need a center layer. And I have to extend this line here. Okay, break it here and continue it here. And I have to extend it at the bottom. And now the section will be, okay, the lines quickly. So this has to be a wider line, continuous. Let's copy this arrow. Okay, I'm selecting only the arrow. Move reference point. This point. Here. And now it's asking me, do I want to delete the original? I'm moving. No, I want to keep the original because this one be the copy. Okay. And let's draw the section here. It will be a rectangle with some lines, horizontal lines. Just for practicing the section lines. Now, here is the problem. Before this software I use as an AutoCAD. It's very easy. I just click on the area and it will be selected in a section lining. But here I have to draw a polygon. Just quickly, so this rectangle, and this rectangle has to be in section line. Or let's use this thin line as a layer. And now here is the hatch tool. Now the problem is that I have to select the polygons separate, but I cannot select the polygon here because it will not accept. Here I have to add a break lines here. I'm not sure is there a better solution for this, but so far I couldn't find a better way. So let's create a break line, selecting this line and adding a break here. As now, as you can see, this is separate line. Can select, but as a closed polygon, but I have to do it on the other side here. So again, I close this. Okay, so selecting the line and selecting the breakpoint here. Now I can select these, holding the shift button. Now I selected this closed polygon, and I can use a hatch line here for this, but I have a few others. Let's do one by one. Okay, and I have the option what lines I want to use. Okay, let's repeat it here, but again, I cannot select this closed polygon because I have to add the break lines here. Okay, again on the other side, selecting this, adding break here, selecting break here, selecting and break here. Now I can select these polygons. Let's try 2 polygons at once. Will it accept? Okay. And now the section is already drawn. Let's write here, this is a section. Let's give it the dimensions. It's this layer. And of course we have to name the section here. I will have a separate video about the sections later. Don't be confused if you are from US, this is the European order of the view. So the section is now, if this is the cutting, it's on the right side. Okay, let's see it in the print preview. Yes, maybe that center line should be added here. Okay, let's close it. A line, 2 lines, center line, and it's middle of this line here, but let's make it longer. And now this drawing is ready. Okay, thank you for watching. I hope you find this useful. Don't forget, the practice is everything. Find some very simple drawings and try to draw it in QCAD. That's a very good practice to learn some new program. Thank you for watching and keep drawing.